I'm Rob Chapman.
And I'm the captain, watching you, watching me, watching you.
It's coffee time. Coffee time with Chappers and Lee. I made myself a nice frothy head in this bottle of water. I made a little iced coffee, which is good, to enjoy while we're demonstrating these two rock...
Can I put you on standby?
Yes, Stand By Me.
Put you on standby.
That's a tune. Do you know that? Stand By Me?
Stand by me.
I'll be your friend.
Didn't Rolf Harris
If you let me demonstrate two rock amplifiers. Yeah, we're having a good time here with the Bionics and the Sensor. Anybody remember Sensor from the 80s?
Ah, the terrible rock band from the 80s.
They did a tune called Eject.
They did a tune called Eject.
Yeah, they were really good. Sort of a Rage Against Machine 80s type vibe. Have nothing to do with the amazing Sensor.
They have nothing to do with it. So,
from Two Rock Amplification.
basically, beginning of 2013, Two Rock announced a little change to their lineup. The amp that I am pointing this camera at the moment, called the Sensor, was released to replace the Gain Master. Now, the Gain Master...
a bit of a misleading name, that.
Yes, I think that was probably... It was doomed to failure right from the start because someone called it the Gain Master and therefore immediately sort of put it in a... It must be some sort of metal gainy kind of amp, which it never really was.
It's like calling a Fender Twin a thrash overlord.
Yes, so anyway, the Sensor, the much more sensibly named Sensor, which also has some new features on it, which we like very, very much.
Like cascading gain.
Cascading gain, look at this. So basically the idea of the Sensor, I'm going to talk to this camera for a minute and then I'll close up. The idea of the Sensor was it was really for guitar players nowadays that want a really cool sounding 2-channel amplifier, but to use with effects. So they've put a lot of time and energy into creating an all-tube buffered effects loop on the back. It can be switched between series or parallel. The send and return both have individual level controls. So the idea is it's kind of like if you're using any of this new Strymon or Eventide kind of stuff, or even just a simple setup like we've got on the floor for Chappers here, with just a delay and a reverb pedal, this amp is going to love having pedals plugged into it.
It likes them up it.
It loves it up it. It's a 2-channel amplifier, but with a shared EQ. So let's zoom in now. Let's switch to Handycam.
Cam 3.
So here we go. Ooh. So as you can see, where Rob has his guitar plugged in, we have treble, middle and bass controls. Each of those can be pulled out to give a sort of a boosted characteristic to that tone, as my able seaman here will help me do. What? And then essentially the cascaded gain channel is that although we have a certain section of the preamp for the clean sound, when we flip to the lead channel, we actually get the gain from the clean channel as well. So
it's like a dime, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, it's like a dime thing. Expansion is, again, that was on the old Gain Master. It's essentially like an EQ bypass, but you can now actually dial in the amount of sort of bypass signal that you want. Then we have clean and master volumes, and we have clean and lead contour. So it's a pretty simple amplifier to use, and I think what I will do now is just quickly pan across the floor, show you what else comes with it. So this
I went shopping in Lee's warehouse.
That's
sorry,
the
you're going to show them the foot
Yes,
switch
that's the foot switch you get, so you can do lead and lead and the expansion control in there.
And it's
you can't turn the effects loop on and off, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's probably a neither. There's something.
Well,
light
nowadays you can get
reflecting
things
off
like
of
the G system and
hold that differently because the light's reflecting off it.
How about holding it like that?
That's perfect.
Is that better?
We can even put your face in front of it as well. And then what we have got here is we've got a Hall of Fame reverb and a flashback delay
and the spark
through the effects loop, and then the spark,
which is currently my secret weapon.
Yeah, which
although
is
I
also
haven't got
whited
one.
out. We've got real lighting issues here. Can you see that? It says
I
spark
can see that.
on it.
That is good.
And that we are just using a bit like a top boost pedal. So let's just pop this off today.
Yeah, what I did was, because Lee said we should get some
record.
really good pedals because this is renowned for being able to take pedals in it really well.
Yes.
And I said, well, let me listen to the gain structure first and then we'll choose an appropriate pedal. And rather than getting something that would change the gain sound, we wanted something that just sort of went with the gain sound. And the Spark is a really good kind of pushing valve.
It is.
Pedal.
And everybody in the room today has complimented Rob on his tone, saying we think it's probably the best amp sound he's had in here with some of the best playing. I thought he sounded a bit Gary Moore-esque at one point, which was, if you haven't heard the demo yet, which you may not have done at this point in the video.
Is that his tribute act, Gary Moore-esque?
Yeah, you should check it out. So tonally speaking, let's just quickly get some clean tones and things, and I'll show you what the knobs and buttons do. So actually I'll tell you a little bit more spec-wise at the moment, because there's several things about the sensor which is kind of cool. This is the 22 watt one, so it's the smallest, the baby of the sensor family. It's in a slightly larger cabinet than you've perhaps seen the old Gain Master or the Studio Pro, which I like because it gives a little bit more bass end on the sound.
A little bit more. The interesting thing about Two-Rock is, although they're little, they are incredibly low-endy and thick. Yeah,
beautiful. So this is the 22 watt. So the power section here is going to be running on a pair of 6 V6s. If you go up to the 35 watt, which you can still buy as a combo if you want, or into even the 50 and the 100, which are only available as heads, they go over to the 6L6s. I suspect there'll be 2 in the 35 and the 50 and then 4 in the 100. But check the Andertons website for that kind of detail spec. And it uses a Celestion G12, let me look at my notes, yes, G12M speaker in the back of it. It's a kind of a open ported, if you've seen the back of two rock amplifiers, they often cut like a nice circular hole in the back, so it gives it a nice open sort of sound. And yeah, there, believe it or not, there are 5 AX7 tubes in the preamp stage, so I think that's why we get quite a lot of gain out of this thing. But let's just start with a clean sound, and I'll give you an idea what these sort of boosty things do. Would help if I... It's not clean.
That's my favourite kind of clean sound. So I should say I'll take
Turn the delay off.
Turn the delay off. Sorry, flashback. This is an in-between type sound.
So real classic Fender sound with a slightly boosted bass end and a slightly boosted treble. I'm going to turn the bass boost off actually for the gain section. So if we go over to the lead sound. See is even though I just turned the clean gain down, this is what we mean about the cascaded thing. If I turn the clean gain down, we turn. So I need to dial. So the lead sound that you're hearing is a combination of gain going through the clean preamp stage and gain going through the lead preamp stage. It's a really thick sound. So.
It's an amazing sound. It's really Satriani-esque, I find.
And what we've done, which is, again, this is our secret weapon pedal in a few of the demos we've done recently, the TC Spark pedal, which we don't use, it's not adding any extra actual distortion, it's purely and simply a sort of a pushed volume.
Let me hold a note and you engage the spark.
I will do so.
So, sort of thing. I think you need something like...
So that we love. The Spark actually you can use in front of almost any kind of driven amplifier to just give you that. In fact, the way we've got this set up is almost like a top boost with a sort of extra treble and a bit of bass rolled off.
So just for S and G, here's the floor rig.
Which, I mean, it sounds tremendous. The expansion control, we'll push that in again. This is a bit of a Marmite feature. I don't think Rob really likes it, but I know other people that use it.
Let me tell you what I think they're trying to do, because this is a rock. You could play metal on this amplifier, and I think what it does is it kind of squashes things and mid-scoops a little bit and gives it that kind of chunk. And I think it's Two Rock's attempt at doing the metal thing.
Technically what it's doing is it's bypassing the EQ circuit. So essentially there's less resistance, if you like, within the circuit. So it changes the tone and should give it, I suppose, how could you describe a bypass tone circuit? A rawer sort of tone.
See, for me it works.
Natural tone.
For me it works in reverse, unless we had it set up in reverse, because without it, it sounded wider and better.
So, so here's the gain sound without. And with. I've just noticed, of course, we've got the EQ section with the bright section boosted. So, of course, when we put the expansion thing, it turns that off and therefore perhaps has a darker sound. The flip side could be...
Flip mode of the greatest.
If we had the treble and, say, the mid-range turned down for a rhythm sound, then, of course, by turning that off with the expansion, you're going to boost the treble and bass.
Now it kind of works.
So you can see what the possibilities are here. So the idea is that it gives you two kind of tonal settings. There's a contour. Pop that out if you want it back how it was. It was kind of like that. The contour control is an additional sort of tone control. It's contour tends to be, what happens is a designer sort of incorporates a number of sort of EQ curves into one control, so that as you adjust it, you just get different types of sounds as you go around. Again, there's no right or wrong with this. It's just a question of setting it up how you like it. So we're loving the sensor. That's a ridiculous amp.
It's my favourite T-Rock amp ever.
Yeah.
It's in my top 5 amplifiers of all time.
Wow.
And it's an absolute joy to play, and I'm worried about how much it would cost.
Well, it's gonna. These are handmade in America, as you can imagine, hand wired.
Comes as a head version.
Comes as a head version if you want to hear it. You want to put it into a cabinet. I suspect the head's probably a little cheaper, but the combo is $19.49.
It's less than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
But check the Andertons website. As I said, there are bigger versions of this if you want them. There are head versions, combo versions.
You won't need a bigger version, really.
No, I
it's
think
loud.
what people love. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. People might think it's 22 watts. Can I gig it?
Yes, you can.
I tee him up. You hit him up. It's loud, isn't it?
We're using it on what, I don't know, just under half.
Yeah.
And it's loud. I mean, it's a loud amplifier.
I mean, the 22 versus 35 argument isn't really a volume thing. It's to do with the 6V6 amps, when we'll have a slightly brownier, dirty sound, whereas the 6L6 amplifiers will have a slightly more sort of open, heavier bass end than the 6V6 amps. So these are cool.
But this is, I mean, to put it into kind of forum speak, what this is like is a little pocket combo Soldano on steroids.
Possibly, yeah.
That's what it's like to me in my ears. And it's got that classic kind of Joe saturated gain without being too fizzy and too kind of over the top.
Yeah.
It sounds organic.
Yeah.
It's a great amplifier. So the Bionics is a new amplifier from T-Rock. It's got a newly designed transformer with tighter low end and a broader mid and treble end.
Yeah. And it's the first, well, no, is it the first? It's certainly different to Studio Pro and Jet and stuff like that, in that it's a much more comprehensive set of controls for the two channels. So each channel has its own EQ now, it has its own reverb control, it has its own boost control, has its own contour control. Bionics is only available as a 50 or 100 watt head as it stands at the moment. I've got quite a cool foot switch, which I'll show you in a second. But this is definitely going to appeal to probably the more traditional T-Rock player.
It's kind of funny because from looking at them, one would assume that the Bionics is more of a heavy rock, but it's really not. I mean, I think it's more of a jazz type
it's a blues jazz
it's
kind of thing, isn't it?
I don't even know about, I mean, yes, you could play blues on it, but it's got such a low, full-on low end that, I mean, you know.
So I'm playing this through a T-Rock 2x12, again a Celestion loaded 2x12, also using G12Ms in it. But there's so much kind of, it's that very classic That classic kind of two-rock sound that I always associate with this, which is super tight, spanky kind of cleans, softer than a Fender, you know, without that, you know, Fenders sometimes have that very characteristic edge to the tone.
Yeah. Of course, Lee could play a plank into a tin can and it would sound incredible. But the thing is, it's a really physical sounding amplifier, isn't it? It's really in your face.
So... it's got so much bass in. Perhaps that's the 212 cab. The foot switch, let me show you the foot switch here. Can you see that? I'll show it to this camera over here. So the foot switch has got 3 buttons on it. One is a simple switch to the lead channel, but what I do quite like is that both channels have a controllable boost. Now, on the clean channel, again, it's just... You can hear that kind of just a bit of a volume boost. What I like on the lead channel, well, I say I like it now I understand it, but when I first started to use it, I got a bit confused. It's not really a gain boost on the lead channel, it is actually a volume boost. So this is the gain sort of sound, and I've got the gain wound up about 3/4 of the way up here, so you can see this is not a heavy sounding amp. So again, very vintage sounding kind of drive sound, not heavy at all. I mean, even to be honest with you, I think if I was going to use I would want another drive pedal, I think, in front of the drive channel to actually...
Try it with these Seymour Duncan humbuckers.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. We haven't
Chapman
really...
guitars, Cap 10.
That is just single coil. Perhaps I'll get a bit more drive with a bucker.
What Seymour Duncans are those?
JB in the bridge and a Jazz in the neck, but let's have... It's
a dark demon of an amp, isn't it? It
yeah,
really is.
It's still on the... Can I try it with the spark?
Yeah, put the spark in it as well.
Let's just try it.
Put my whole rig through that amp.
So this is with the spark. So combination of a humbucker, bit of extra drive from the spark.
Well, we're using the
sizzle now here, aren't we?
I wanted the spark really as a treble boost. That's what I was using it as. So it's not a lot of gain on the spark at all. But it's just enough.
Just enough. And then what I can do, if I don't blow the roof off here, is the lead boost is a volume boost.
Lord of mercy, there's a fire!
And that's really nice, because so many times when you've got your amplifier kind of, you know, you've got a real nice fat rhythm sound and you want to go into solo mode and you kick in your distortion pedal, and all that happens is you just saturate up your rhythm sound a bit more. It doesn't give you the volume, but clearly the boost is in the correct place in the signal path on here to actually work as a volume boost, and it's controllable. So I've got an actual, you know, I can have a subtle boost if I want one, like you know, I can just have, or I can have a crazy, you know, crazy mega solo boost for sort of Jesus, that's like 4 times the volume, isn't it? Wow. So I'm using the 50 head, which is comes stock out the box with EL34s in it, but it's got a bias switch on the back that you can flip across to 6L6s if you do prefer that kind of tone.
So then, well, there you go, really. I mean, we like making long videos.
Yes.
And we got told off recently for making short videos.
So we put that correct by making a documentary.
Yeah. For my money, This is one of the best amps.
It's
really up there.
Killer amplifier.
It is. If you're into instrumental rock, shred, classic rock, metal, blues, for me this is really up there, and the combo is a really, really good combo.
It's fair, and it's so portable as well. I mean, that's I think one of the big attractions of the Two Rock ranges. They do these little kind of gigging combos that we'll sit on the front seat of a car and you can gig with amp in one hand, guitar in a bag, turn up, sound pro.
Of course, it's an amazing guitar going into an amazing amplifier.
Yeah, again, keep going back to this thing here. I've been playing this a lot for the last 2 or 3 months now. If you've not seen Rob and I do videos before, you'll know that, or you won't know what this is. But this is a Chapman guitar that you can find out more on the Andertons website or on the Chapman website. But this is called the Cap 10. It's very cool. But there's a lot of cool guitars in that range. That's it, I think, isn't it? I think we should.
How much was this one?
Oh yes, that's a good point. This is 2,500, and I'm guessing the 100 will be even dearer still.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
But again, there's it's on par with what you're going to pay for a good hand-wired, handmade amplifier.
It's a tool. If you were a builder and you had a van full of expensive tools, no one's going to say, why have you got all these expensive tools? You go, it's my job. If your job is playing guitar or you love it and you got the money, then you can get the gear.
So there you go. Come down to Andertons, plug one in yourself, see if you like them. But for now,
I've been Chappers.
And I've been the Captain.
Bye.